Hey everyone, and welcome. So a while back, we talked about the 90-second pause, right? That little window of time you have between something happening and how you react. But what if that pause isn't the end of the story? What if it's actually the starting line for something way more powerful? Today, we're going beyond just putting out the fire of an emotion. We're going to learn how to actually use it as fuel. We're diving into the ancient Taoist system for mastering your emotional flow.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by totally reframing that 90-second pause. Then, we'll explore this incredible Taoist map of emotions. After that, we'll get practical with a 3-step technique, and you'll see how it's actually backed up by modern science. And finally, we'll get to the ultimate goal, building what's known as emotional anti-fragility. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways. All right, let's kick things off by looking past that initial pause. We're making a huge shift in perspective here, We're moving away from just trying to put out an emotional fire and learning how to harness all that energy for real growth and clarity.
So just a quick recap. Remember that any emotion is, at its core, a biological event. That first chemical rush that floods your system, it only lasts about 90 seconds. Anything you feel after that 90-second mark, well, that's you, either consciously or unconsciously, rerunning the story in your head and keeping that emotional loop going.
And this brings us to the really big question. That 90-second rule, it gives you a reset button, which is great, but what you actually do in that moment of pause, that's what changes everything. It's the difference between just calming yourself down and actually leveling up as a person. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. You've got two completely different ways of looking at the world, modern neuroscience and ancient Taoist philosophy, and they land on the exact same idea. Neuroscience calls it incomplete emotional processing. Basically, when you push down an emotion, that energy gets stuck. Thousands of years ago, Taoism called it qi stagnation. But get this, they both agree, energy that gets trapped becomes toxic, but energy that's allowed to flow, that becomes strength. So if you're going to manage this energy flow, you kind of need a map, right? And that's exactly where this ancient Taoist system comes in. It sees emotions not as problems we need to get rid of, but as really intelligent, functional signals coming from your body.
So the Taoists created this incredible map. They link specific emotions to elements in nature and even to organs in our bodies. For them, anger, which they link to the liver, isn't just about being mad. No, it's the raw energy for growth, for setting boundaries. And fear, linked to the kidneys, it's not about being weak, it's a signal for wisdom, for conserving your energy. You see, every single emotion has a vital, positive job to do when it's in balance.
So here is the absolute key point. That 90-second pause is not about shutting the emotion down. It's your window of opportunity to let that energy move all the way through its natural cycle cleanly and completely so it can do its job and then just dissolve.
Okay, now for the really practical part of all this. Let's talk about a super simple 3-step ritual that can turn that 90-second pause from just a timeout into this powerful practice of, well, you could call it emotional alchemy.
First up, observe the wave. The second you feel that emotion rising, just name the physical sensation, like, oh, okay, there's heat in my chest. That's anger energy. Instantly, you've shifted from being the main character in the drama to being the witness watching it. Second, breathe the energy down. Inhale deep into your belly, not your chest, and then make your exhale just a little bit longer than your inhale. This is what's called sinking the qi. And finally, transform the force. Actually visualize that energy changing. Maybe it goes from a fiery red to a calm golden light, and then imagine it spreading through your body as pure vitality. You're not crushing the emotion, you're recycling it.
Now, I know some of this might sound a little bit out there, a little mystical, but the modern science that explains why this ancient practice works it's absolutely mind-blowing. This is really where meditation and medicine shake hands.
You see that ancient practice of sinking the qi? It's not just some pretty metaphor. When you consciously breathe down into your belly like that, you are sending a direct biological signal to your nervous system. You're literally telling it, hey, stand down, return to base.
And here's exactly how it works. That deep belly breathing, it activates something called the vagus nerve, which is basically the body's superhighway of calm. This nerve sends a powerful message from your gut straight to your brain that says, you are safe. And when that happens, stress hormones like cortisol drop, and your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, comes back online. Now you're driving the emotion instead of the emotion driving you. So, look, it doesn't really matter what language you use. Whether you talk about ancient Taoism or modern neuroscience, the fundamental truth is exactly the same. Emotion is energy. If you let it flow, it empowers you, it frees you. But if you fight it, it traps you and it owns you.
And this brings us to the real end game here, because the ultimate goal isn't just about feeling calm in a tough moment. It's about building a whole new level of long-term resilience. The goal isn't just calmness, it's capacity.
This whole practice leads to a state called emotional anti-fragility. And what is that? It's the ability to not just get through emotional stress, but to actually become stronger because of it. The very same waves of energy that used to knock you off your feet now actually strengthen your foundation. You're literally learning how to turn emotion into wisdom. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, at work, when a colleague says something that stings, you use this 90-second cycle to respond strategically, not just emotionally. In a relationship, when you feel that tension rising, you ground that energy to build connection instead of creating a fight. And before a big presentation or a big game, you turn all those nervous jitters, that adrenaline, into focused, usable power.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. So, to bring it all home, let's wrap this up with a simple mind map that pulls this entire framework together so you can really achieve that emotional flow.
Here's your whole roadmap. The problem is stagnant energy, whether you want to call it incomplete processing or chi stagnation. The map is that Taoist system that sees emotions as signals. The practice is that simple three-step ritual: observe, breathe down, and transform. The proof? It's the activation of your vagus nerve. And the ultimate goal is emotional anti-fragility, building the capacity to turn your stress into your strength. So the next time you feel that wave of emotion start to hit, don't try to fight it or fix it or be afraid of it. Just remember this final thought. Your goal isn't to stop the wave, but to learn how to ride it. Because real peace isn't about the absence of emotion, it's about the mastery of its motion.
Like and subscribe for timeless wisdom.